Hello everyone, this is Cosmodius, and today I am going to be showing off a base that I'm working on right now. And it's on Mimus, and this is Stationeers, by the way. So before I show off the base, I want to show off my mods. I'm using the Infinite Paint mod, the Higher Ore Yields mod, which is not being actually used, but the Network Painter mod, just so I can re-emphasize, this mod here is not being used. I just have it activated so whenever I play survival for fun, I can still, do whatever. It just quality of life. The next one is render distance changer, and so as you can see, my three mods that I'm actually using involve aesthetics, and that's because I am working on a map that I noticed that nobody really wanted to make this kind of map. So I'm going to explain what kind of map it is and what it is exactly that I'm looking for whenever I'm downloading world maps that I notice nobody really has any good ones. What a good one looks like, or what it kind of is that I would like. This last mod is the creative mode difficulty, which is extra easy / creative mode, and it lets you use the F3 console to set difficulty to creative, which essentially makes the world safe to where you're not going to get hungry, thirsty, or have any oxygen problems. And that's pretty much it. So anyway, let's go ahead and go to Mimus. And it's been 10 days in the game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I've been working on it for the in-game 10 days. And so here it is. The sun's coming up, so I'm going to turn my light off just so people can get a better idea what the actual lighting looks like. And we're going to come up here so that we can get a very good view of the base. And essentially, this is the upper floor. Over here, this is the bridge. We're just going to look, and as you can see, there are four sides that look very similar to each other. And those four sides have in the center this nice big tower. So the entrance and the exit, which I plan on actually making more than one, there's a lot I actually plan to do with this map. It's not so simply just a map that once I'm done, that's it. No, this is a map that I'll be probably working on pretty much on and off based off of how many updates there are and what my goals are. So we're going to go ahead and go in the base. And the first room in front of us, there's a hallway that splits off in two directions and goes up the stairs. Both hallways have their own stairs. All of these stairs in front of us, they go to the same place, the ones that are going up. So we'll just go ahead and enter this room and explain this room. So this room right here is actually the power generation. We could call it the zone because I think departments is a little bit overused and zones has a little bit different use case to it. But there is something here that's bothering me. I'm going to go ahead and fix it right now. So there we go. That looks kind of ugly, but you know what? I think it'd be better that way. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, we'll just keep it that way for now. No, actually, I got a better idea. We'll just put some grading. I'll put some grading. Whoopsie. It's not what I wanted to do. Oh boy, here we go. All right, put some grading right there. So, anywho, this is the power generation room. And the idea is that I wanted the power generation room to be one of the first rooms that I would make. So I put it down here. And essentially, the power generation room has to send all of its electricity out based on how it would have batteries in it. It would have probably a solid fuel generator or some kind of engine like that. Maybe a Stirling engine, I'm not sure. Actually, I think Stirling is kind of cool because it can be, it kind of fits my style of base that I'm doing. But at the same time, having a little bit of solid fuel generation going on might be good as well. But then that requires people to go and mine coal, which is still okay with me. But at the same time, if there's a deep drill, we could also automate that process. I don't actually know if I want to do that, though. I think I should just use a solid fuel generator for backup and have the have like a gas fuel generator and the Stirling engine for the primary. Alright, so now that I've explained that, let's go ahead and go this way, and there's a room right here. It says furnace. And so if we come down here, you see this comes down here. We enter this area here, which it doesn't look too nice right now. Nothing's lit. I'm gonna go ahead and enable my my light in my backpack so we can get a good view. And essentially, the idea of this is that we will have the furnace inside the base, and we'll box it off and make sure that it can't heat the room around it. But ultimately, the goal is we have a furnace. It's right here, and somebody's going to manage it. I'm probably going to make sure that it has some kind of manual system, but it's not going to be too manual. Maybe I could automate it. I don't really know. It really depends on how I'm feeling, because honestly, I kind of want to automate it just because I feel like it'd be a better project to take on. While as not automating it allows the individuals to actually do some of the work themselves in terms of feeling like they're interacting with the station I'm making here that's not finished yet. So we're going to go ahead and come up here and go around over here to cryogenics. So right here, I placed the cryogenics. I have my reasons why I chose this location. And the idea is that people come down here and essentially go into cryotubes and go into cryostasis while they go offline. Now, how long does the cryostasis actually last in terms of preserving the oxygen in here? And how about, manipulating the temperature of the room as it gets colder? That'd be a big deal. But ultimately, what I want is a place where somebody who's playing multiplayer can come in here, and they can go inside a cryogenic tube, and then they can leave the game, and then somebody can come grief them. So that's ultimately my goal here, and I think I could do 2 floors to this single room, but essentially, some of these rooms will be resized for their purpose. The fuel generation, or the power generation room, just so everybody knows, it is actually a very good size. It's bigger than, I've never really needed this much size to do any kind of power generation, so I guess I can have some room for making it a little bit more beautified. And I'm calling it a zone. There will be doors here, by the way. And I don't feel like this is right here, so I'm gonna have to fix another thing here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Iron wall. Sorry if my audio is bad to the people watching. Okay, there we go. That looks right. I'm gonna go ahead and save it. Now let's go ahead and go upstairs. And over here we have a room over here. And this room is the fabrication center, which I haven't built yet. But this is kind of how most of the rooms that are going to be upstairs look. So the upstairs room will have these walls here, so that way they'll be kind of blocked off. I don't just want to do windows everywhere. And this room here has fabrication, so people can essentially do all their fabricating work right here. It's actually a nice size for fabricators. We can also put a sorter system in here and things like that for items. Whatever we want, we can fix it up. And I really like the lighting, by the way. If I turn off my light so y'all can see it, it's pretty cozy-ish, I suppose. It depends on your taste, I suppose. Anyway, let's go ahead and leave here. And upstairs, we're going to build a future trading port back here. So the future trading port has a essentially not enough space for every single airship. So my goal is to essentially make it to where I'm going to expand upon this and probably have an actual garage of some sort here for the incoming spaceships that are going to trade with the player. So that's the idea right here. So one thing that you might be able to note is that the location of this might have a great view of the sun because of the sun's angle, but it doesn't have a great view of Saturn, which is right on the other side. And that's because I figured this would be great to have out the way for the fact that the The base is this location here is where people will be doing the most traffic heavy um, activities. So like going down the stairs and going to do the fabrication and trading and whatever else. This is high traffic. And so I put the stairs going downstairs and the exit that way. Although some will argue that, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Well, yes, I should have. I think it's a great decision to put high traffic things away from all the other stuff that I built, which you'll also shortly see. And so upstairs, which we have right here, we have this big room, and this is the main hub, the spoke, the hub and spoke design I have going. And here we can have some, we're not going to have much, but we'll have a lot of things. We'll probably have signs for information or things displayed people might want to know that are just, this is for the regular peons that work on the station or people who are role-playing or whatever. Just like a little place where they can chill, like a lobby area or whatever it is. So upstairs we have the bridge. And so here we have the bridge. The door to the bridge is probably going to be like right here or something. And on the other side, of course, we'll have the other door. And essentially, what I want on the bridge is some of the most important information that the officers need to know. Essentially, is right here at their disposal to know, like, what the status of things are that they would probably want, or certain features that officers might have, or if we're not doing officers, we're doing a council thing instead. Just the important people on the station that are running the show. This is where they would be, or maybe even everybody's kind of like an officer of some sort. So we'll go ahead and come over here, and this is the meeting room. At least that's what I purposed it for. The idea here is that the officers sit down in the meeting room, or they come and meet in here, and they talk about whatever private thing they're going to talk about. Which, of course, I don't think that the developer has made it yet to where you can localize what you type and send to people. So right now it's just for show, or just for show. So, huh? Yeah, I only put these right here, didn't I? Okay. Anyway, about downstairs. So now we have on the east wing, or whatever you want to call it, the east zone. Upstairs we have hydroponics, and downstairs we have the canister storage. So upstairs, once again, hydroponics is one of those places where it's like, there's not really going to be high traffic, but I kind of wanted it out the way and located on the side that the sun rises. Purely symbolic, nothing really special about it. And I was even thinking of making the walls glass, so that way whenever the sun rises, everyone could see inside here. And from the outside, or everyone could see outside. I'm still thinking of doing that, or I might keep these here and just put the glass up around it. I don't really know yet. Give it its own unique aesthetic. But ultimately, I have a special model for everything, like including hydroponics and the power generation that I'm going to be working on, which brings me to my next room, which is downstairs from here, the canister storage. So if you want to do hydroponics, you have to go to the canister storage and essentially get your own canister of water, and then head upstairs to essentially go and place the canister here, because I'm going to put my ice crusher down there. Now I could put the ice crusher anywhere I want, but I'm specifically going to focus on putting everything involving canisters and things that people might want right here. So that way people who want to do anything essentially have to come here to do it, and then come here to manage it and things of that nature. So I'm doing that as an alternative to the atmospheric system, because the atmospheric system, I feel, I could still build a room for that, but I think if I do that, I'll start with this first. I already designed how I would make a big giant atmosphere room, and I feel like it's got potential for certain things that I think get reduced with a canister storage for now. And also, it's something that gives more people something to interact with while they're playing the game. So next, we're going to go ahead and go to over here, which is on the side of Saturn, which is the lounge and the dorm. So I put them both right here because the way that they are facing Saturn, it is very scenic. And so if we go into the lounge, essentially I plan to make these two sides here because I didn't put these walls with arrows there. And these two sides will have glass. These rooms, just like the other ones, will be too high in terms of height. And people will just sit here, and maybe I'll have some kind of like disco looking lights that can change colors or something here that I'll turn on and off. Whatever I feel like doing. Maybe 4 lights that are just flickering in one spot just so people can be messing around or whatever it is. But anyway, I plan to possibly even enlarge some of these little sections out, like I've stated previously. So that brings me to downstairs, which is the dorms. So the dorms is kind of funny because you enter them from here, but of course, I'm thinking I could do a corridor like this, and then have a corridor like this, because the rooms only need to be 2 by 2. So that's no problem. I could do that. And what I can end up doing also is extending it out just a little bit more so that way, if people were doing dedicated tasks on the station, there'd be at least one spot for them each. As for the cryogenics area, they actually can easily all fit in the cryogenics area if I was to show off how big the tubes are. So that's my idea there. That's why I placed them right where they're placed. I place pretty much everything in where they're at for some kind of reason. And so over here we have the kitchen and the recycle and processing area. So I figured it'd be better to put this under the kitchen. It just feels like it fits a little bit because people have dirty dishes and would, throw them away kind of thing. I'm going to go ahead and do the centrifuge so I can show off what I kind of have in mind. Actually, we kind of have something like this. I kind of have something like this in mind where this room is just like the other ones. But the difference is there's going to be chutes and people can... Essentially, what I was thinking of doing was making a whole system of chutes throughout the entire base where everyone can trash their trash anywhere they want. And it comes right down here and immediately gets recycled into the system. And so if that's the case, I was also thinking of adding a deep drill or a deep miner so that way it'd be easier for people to mine without, or get their hands on stuff for mining and material without having a... If I make a department dedicated to just miners, I don't really know about that. I think this would be that department right here, kind of. I know some people would argue that it'd be better to do that with fabrication because of the stereotype of, cargo being the one to, because the trading port's right over there and everything else. So that was my idea with that. And my last idea was the kitchen, which would be right here. And people would enter right here. There'd be a door specifically right here. And just like the other side, I didn't add walls right here or here yet. And I didn't put these specific types of walls right here because I plan on making this glass right here. That way people who are in the kitchen can see Saturn. But I'm probably not going to do it exactly that way. I'm probably going to add walls on the bottom and glass walls above the bottom around this side here to give it its own little aesthetic. And so that's pretty much our base as of right now. That's pretty much my plan. And ultimately, it's pretty good in terms of scale and size. And it's not too, it is condensed in a way. I could even make it taller maybe, but I don't really know about that. So if I was, I do have a kind of stairwell thing going on over here. So you can see that there's stairs coming up. Then there's stairs that go up on the other side. But then the stairs here go up. So if I was to do that, I'd have to reconsider how I'm making the stairs go up on this part. They'd probably have to go up here or something, or I'd have to put the stairs going upstairs somewhere else, like on one of these other sides, or something of that nature. So ultimately, those are my aesthetic choices. I know some of you might not like the texture I chose for the land, but ultimately, I didn't really care. So I just kind of picked a random color and was like, this is what I'm going to use. And the example I'm giving here is you have a base, and this base essentially has all of the features and functions that, whenever it's finished. Yes, I do know how to make all of the features. I've been playing this game for quite some time, and that is why I'm currently just working on the aesthetics before I start putting things in. But I haven't seen anybody make a full-scale base yet that has some kind of modularity to the rooms and doesn't just mix and match and has dedicated little rooms for things. Some people will have a hydroponics room, and one base did have, I think it was Evil Cow or whatever. He had a base on Venus, but the base wasn't necessarily something I would say I could see. Actually, I think his bases were the only ones that did have the similar features. Now that I think about it, but you don't see anybody using them. You don't see anybody role playing in them. You don't really see anybody really doing anything and being creative or, because if I wanted to learn how to play the game, I can't just go to Evil Cow's videos and watch all of them. I can't just go to his base and reverse engineer it. It's just not going to have all the information every time, and he's not going to use all the solutions that I would use. So I'd have to download his base specifically for every map. And then there's an update. I'm in beta. So in beta, he's not going to update those maps continuously. He's not going to update the modules of the maps. Nobody. So I plan to, and I'm going to show it. I plan to use the terrain tool to essentially kind of close off some of the base a little bit to make it look how I want. In the end, it's not going to look like a bunch of floating rooms. I'm going to make it look a lot nicer. And whenever it is finished, it still won't look like floating rooms because it's pretty much pretty solidly in the ground over here. And so it doesn't look too bad. And in the end, it won't look too bad. But it also won't be entirely realistic because it's not going to have so many frames holding up like some of the heaviest equipment. It just wouldn't, like this glass right here. This glass would not hold up the base, yet I put only glass for the walls at the bottom floor. If that was being realistic. But after I finish just with the walls, which of course I'm not procrastinating. I just spent a little bit of time to just throw this out there. But whenever I finish with the walls and the floors, etc., I haven't even spray painted them yet or anything like that. Speaking of which, I haven't even spawned myself a spray gun. So we're going to go ahead and spawn myself a spray gun. And that should make life a lot easier later on. But I'm going to start trying to work on the power generation first. And then I'll be working on the... I probably won't work on the furnace. I'll work on the storage room, which won't be that hard. I have a couple of concepts for it. And I know that it's accident prone, and I'm completely fine with that. I know since we're in beta that my rooms could just explode whenever I update. So I plan to make sure I have everything filtered out before I, update whenever there is an update, and I plan to move back and forth between versions in order to make sure that's how that works out. Obviously, I can't just, it's not backwards compatible if I put purge valves down, so I really got to be careful how I do this because this base does need cooling. It needs cooling still designed into it. From there, I'll start working on the wires. I'll start working on some ventilation systems, but those ventilation systems will be very manually managed. They will not be automatic like they would where you just turn a valve on and you're good to go. The furnace room will actually also be manually managed. People will inject fuel into it, and if it's not ignited yet, it will be ignited. So that's all I really want to say for now, and I think that's my concept. I don't know what people are going to think about it, but thank y'all for listening, and peace.